Welcome to Conversations Live, where we bring you the best in music, books, entertainment, and more. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 16 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience and those tuning in online. We're glad you all could be with us as well. One of the series I've got a chance to tell you guys about, as we've all kind of been sheltering in place, is a new series called PAPARAZZI XPOSED. I had a great conversation with the creator of the show recently. Now we're excited to welcome Jim Mitchell to our program. Jim is not only someone who you guys see as part of the series, but even in his life before that, he's been able to do what he loves as an actor, to be able to bring characters to life and to be able to share that with all of us. We'll talk to Jim not only about that, but also what it's been like for him to be a part of PAPARAZZI XPOSED, kind of taking a look at this world that a lot of us have kind of heard about. We've seen the work, but didn't really know the backstory. We'll talk about that, and of course let you guys know how to see the first episode of the series as well. Jim, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's really neighborly of you to invite me. Sure appreciate it.
Well, look, I appreciate you taking out the time. Well, look, we're going to get into PAPARAZZI XPOSED for sure, Jim, but I want to talk about this journey for you because we get to know a little bit of your story as we're kind of watching the episodes. But what has it been like for you to be able to do what you love in front of the camera and to be able to share that literally with the world?
Well, you know, one thing, it always helps being single and never having any kids because I don't get in trouble with anybody when I get home at night. But it's been an interesting journey. It really has. And I tell you, when I was a kid, and I'm from the Bartlesville, Nowata area here in Nowata in Washington County. It's up in the northeastern part of Oklahoma. Well, when I was a kid, my grandmother, Mitchell, she dealt antiques for years, and she was a good friend of actor Ben Johnson, who grew up on the Chapman-Barnard Ranch near Pawhuska in the Osage Indian Nation. That's just a few miles west of my place. And it was a great thing, you know, when he would come to town, and the whole town, Pawhuska, Bartlesville too, everybody would turn out for him, and they would have these gigantic birthday parties at the Chapman-Barnard Ranch, and I got to attend some of those as a kid, and they were just amazing. There were rodeo events and prairie chickens flying around and buffalo grazing and people riding horses and driving Model T Fords, and I thought, you know, I'd always want to be that famous and think it'd be really great to have that kind of a turnout when you'd come to town because I like to visit. I like being neighborly and visiting with people.
Right. And I think that's one of the cool things about this, Jim. Jim, it seems like, I mean, and we see this in PAPARAZZI XPOSED in the new series, but even when I was prepping for this segment, kind of looking at the work you've been able to do before now, it seems as though this is just a life that you've been meant to be able to do. Does it feel like that? Do you feel the most comfortable when you are in front of the camera and kind of having to be on?
You know, I have to admit, sometimes I get kind of nervous, but also there's a part of me that every time I'm on set, it's like I see people that, like I said, Ben Johnson, who's been dead a long time now. An actress I knew growing up was Gretchen Weiler, who was in my dad's high school class in Bartlesville, and college high class of 1950. And it's like I kind of look past the cameras, and sometimes I kind of picture them staying there, just kind of, sort of, kind of giving me some advice and, kind of waving me on, that sort of thing. And having that kind of influence growing up, I always wanted to do the Hollywood thing. I also had a great uncle that worked in silent films after World War I. He came out to Hollywood, and old Tom Nix, who had been night marshal here in North Bartlesville at Dewey, got him on working. I think he got him in acting in some bit parts in 2 films, and then he found out he wasn't an actor, so he became a cinematographer. But as an old man, he was a projectionist back in Bartlesville here at every theater in town. And I thought, I'd sure like to get a taste of that. Emma Dalton from the Dalton Gang, that's another one. My cousin owns his house here in Bartlesville before he went to Hollywood. To go from running with his brothers, here in Oklahoma, Indian Territory at that time, and Kansas, looting, pillaging, burning, being U.S. Marshals, then being outlaws, then getting shot all to pieces at Coffeyville, Kansas, trying to rob 2 banks at the same time, and then gets out of jail and becomes a Hollywood actor. And it's an amazing story. And I've been real fortunate. I've gotten to meet a lot of good people in the industry. And Mike Arnoldi is one of the greatest people I've ever met. He's helped me and, getting me out there. And Mike understands the mechanics because of the industry. And that's something that I've always enjoyed, is watching the mechanics of that industry work, just like he knows the mechanics of it forwards and backwards because he was raised in the industry, just like I can step out here in my hay meadow, drive a stake in the ground, and from start to finish, I can drill my own oil wells. And I've done that many times over the years. And I'm still in the oil business. And so I'm constantly flying between Tulsa and Los Angeles all the time. I live in Hermosa Beach out there. But it's a great industry, and I've had other people help me too. James Franco's helped me out a lot with PR. Holly Madison, Bruce Boxleitner, and even music people too. The Chainsmokers. They put me in a Snapchat video one time up at Sundance a few years back. So I've been very fortunate to meet some really good people, and they've given me advice, and I've helped them too. I had Jared and Brandy from Storage Wars throw me on a few episodes of Storage Wars a few years back, and being a typical Okie who drives a pickup in Hollywood, I'd haul stuff for them, and we did red carpets together and charity events, and they threw me on the show, and hell, half the tools in this oil field pickup I'm driving now came from Brandy.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned Michael. Michael and I have known each other for years. Had a chance to finally have him on the radio show this year. He's booked several clients in his work as a publicist for our show. And so it was great when he first told me about the series Paparazzi Exposed. I was excited because I think, we all, and even I think he said it in our interview, Jim, that we all kind of voyeurs in a sense where we want to kind of be able to see behind the scenes. And that's what you guys are able to provide. So I want to talk to you about, what was that like for you when you heard about the idea for this series?
Well, I thought, I've seen other, shows that would, they had good ideas like that, but then they would crash and burn. And this thing, I was thinking, man, this is really great because it really shows the inner workings of how the stuff works. And again, I've worked deals with the paparazzi myself, as a little character actor, I'll help them out, I'll spot for them in Hollywood or say we'll go up to LAX and I've got a permanent standby with one of the airlines, so I can just log in a flight in 5 minutes and walk in, and because maybe I've gotten a tip from one of the paps that, hey, say Brad Pitt's sitting in there. And of course he's another Okie. And so then I'll say, okay, Brad's coming out, door such and such, he's heading down to Delta baggage claim. I'll give him a business card and talk shop with him and, stall him for a few minutes. And, generally, any A-lister will take a business card, an acting card from a character actor 99% of the time. And then, we have a good visit, or maybe I've worked with the guy on set on some film or something. And then I walk away and then I'll tell the paps, hey, he's coming out door so-and-so and limousine numbers on the back bumper or such and such, and you boys be ready. And so it works out all the way around.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jim, because I think that's one of the things that we kind of get is that even the paparazzi work with tips. There's a coordination sometimes even in helping.
Absolutely.
We're able to see that in the series. But also I love the fact, and I talked to Michael about this as well, Jim, and we see it in the first episodes of the series, is that, you guys actually do, as you were just saying, with Brad Pitt, you guys build a rapport with these actors
Absolutely.
And with these celebrities as well. How important are those relationships? Because a lot of times when we think about paparazzi, we think about this invasive camera that's just being forced into the faces of individuals. How important is it in building those kind of relationships and that trust? Well,
for example, here's a good example. It's like I also, Mike he'll get me approved, to walk, say, red carpet somewhere with a PR firm, and he'll just call me and say, get your ass over there in 30 minutes. And I'll say, wow, okay, I could use exposure. So then I'll be one of the first ones across red carpet. Then Mike will already have, one of the paps down there and throw a microphone in my hand, and I'm right at the end of the line. And the next thing you know, I'm catching every A-lister coming behind me, and I'm doing interviews. Yeah. And of course, those interviews, again, a lot of times, they're people I've worked with on set, and they may hit me up. Hey, how's that last gig we did together? What's the situation with that? And I may or may not know, or say, hey, I've always admired your work. I want to work with you. And so you got a card? And I said, hell yeah, I always got pocketfuls of cards. And so we'll give them a card, and then we all go in the vent and chit chat some more. And so, I'm selling the interviews. They're getting exposure. I'm getting exposure. And of course, the paps are sitting there lighting us both up, chit chatting, and so it helps all the way around.
Right. Look, I had to smile to myself, Jim, when you mentioned the business cards, because we know from watching the series you definitely have business cards on you.
Oh my God! Those business cards have been found in more urinals and toilets and in in Sundance over the last umpteen years, and on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard and all over the place and all over the world, frankly. I was dumping those on some kids that were shooting a film in downtown Hong Kong a few years ago, and I went back for a school reunion. So it's those things have been all over the world. I got a lot of miles on them.
Yeah, I want to talk to you more about that because I think it goes to a big point about confidence and not giving up. I think that's a great great message for our audience. But I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Jim Mitchell to our program today. We're talking to Jim not only about what it's been like for him to do what he loves in front of the camera, but now he's a part of a great series called Paparazzi Exposed. We're going to let you guys know how to watch the first episodes here in a bit. So I want to talk about that because, as I said, and people will see when they watch the series, they'll know what I'm talking about, is that, we see you give out your cards. We see you give out your cards again. And I think it's a great message in the industry that you're in, right? How important has that been for you, Jim, in not giving up? Because I think a lot of times if people don't get a photo or get a video, they'll be quick to give up. We don't see that in this series. How has that served you well?
Well, I've had a few hard knocks too. I mean, one time I worked on David Fincher's project that was just a few years ago, and got cast in that, and that was my first SAG gig, and we shot that up in Palmdale, and I was so happy, and there were 200 people on set. I got golden time the first day I was working there, and so excited, but then I got fired up. Well, we even got paid in traffic. They had a SAG rep there, union rep there, and he jumped on the bus with us. We got paid all the way back to Hollywood where I had my pickup sitting downtown. And then a few weeks after that, I got called in to do an episode of Mom. Well, I was sitting there in makeup there at Warner Brothers, and some old boy next to him, he said, "Hey, didn't you work on Fincher's project, Videosyncrasy, that HBO series project?" And I said, "You bet I did." I said, "I can't wait till it comes out." He said, "Well, the whole thing crashed and burned, and it's not going to happen." And I went, "Oh, my God," and I just about melted out of my chair and onto the floor. And, that wasn't made up for, at least when we went to Crafty. I met Sam Elliott there, gave him a card. We visited a while, and wow. So it was still a real good day.
Right.
But
you mentioned
discouraging.
Right, exactly. And I think that's a larger message, Jim, for our audience, anyone in the creative community, especially these days with everything going on, to realize the importance of not giving up, right? I want to talk about something you mentioned, that's the red carpet. I noticed even on your Facebook page,
Sure.
and we've seen your pictures on social media,
Sure.
you in front of the camera. Have you gotten used to that? You gotten used to seeing your picture, on these wire images, or seeing yourself, being featured in these photos? Is that something that now feels right for you?
Well, it feels right, but it'll feel even righter when I get my Invisalign. My teeth have drifted in my old age and really could use some braces, but it makes it nice for being like some vicious character actor or something on set. But my mother watches it, and my sisters, and of course everybody back here is always cheering for me, and I always appreciate that. But here I'm sitting here in Nowata County, but a lot of people know me here in Nowata County, Washington County, and Osage County. And I'll tell you something. I've been in prairie fires in Osage County, flash floods and tornadoes in Washington County, and hell, I even got shot here in Nowata County once. But I'd never been famous, and it was after talking with people, including my great uncle. Oh, and by the way, another great uncle of mine was Buffalo Bill Cody. And
wow.
I always wanted to give it a shot. And again, I've been very fortunate, very, very fortunate, and to be kind of stumbling through it like an old plow horse or something through Hollywood, but gotten to meet a lot of nice people, and I said a lot of them have helped me out. And again, I've had some disasters and stuff too, but like the time I got sent to casting, sent me to Two Broke Girls 3 hours late, and oh my God, that first AD, he was boiling mad, and I lost that gig. And my SAG voucher ended up on the floor that day. But that's kind of what happens sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, what we see actually even in this series, Paparazzi Exposed, that everything doesn't always happen as you would like. You don't always get exactly what you want, but the payoff.
You're right.
I mean, we're able to see, and that's one of the things that really was amazing to me, too, to see, how, you snap this picture, you don't know what it's going to be worth, but then you get that big money shot, as you guys call it. And it makes all of the hard work worthwhile. As people are discovering Paparazzi Exposed, Jim, what do you hope they're able to tell by this series?
I hope that, I really hope that they can, basically, I guess I'll just sit here and say that the people that are struggling actors and, to not give up, and there's so many different venues of ways to get yourself out there, whether it's paparazzi, there's all these subcultures in Hollywood, whether it's paparazzi, whether it's graphers, autograph hounds, even limo drivers. Sometimes you get a job as a limo driver. Next thing you know, somebody will help you out and put you in a film or TV show. Just don't give up. Always be positive. And I mean, I've been down, before. I've been depressed, trying to get a good gig, and then I'm real happy about it, and then I'll walk red carpet and talk about it, and then I'm in there for 2 seconds, and I just want to melt under my chair or hide in the bathroom or something. Or back here, back here in the Indian Nations, I've drilled, I drilled 100-barrel-a-day oil well one time, and then other times I've drilled dry holes and spent the same amount of money on it. So just never, ever give up. Don't get down so far that you're not willing to do anything else.
Right.
That's about all I can say on that.
Well, I think that's a great message, and it's a great reminder for all of us, and I hope that they will take that to heart. Again, everyone, Jim Mitchell has been our guest for this segment. We've been talking to Jim not only about what it's been like for him to do what he loves as an actor, but also to be able to share his experience now as part of the talented cast of Paparazzi Exposed. If you guys have not seen it, I hope you guys will head over to www.gotpap.com. That's GOTPAP.com. Again, that's gotpap.com. You can be able to watch the first episodes for free there. And, Jim, how can they stay connected with you?
Actually, one way is to my IMDb, which is it's under Jim Mitchell, and it's with the Roman numeral 32, 3 X's and 2 I's. And also my Instagram is jamesd.mitchell.
Okay. So make sure you guys are definitely staying connected with him there. Jim, again, thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate it, and looking forward to having you back again.
You bet. Well, thank you very much, Cyrus. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's really nice of you.
Well, look, the pleasure is definitely all mine, and I thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. Let's make it a great one.